Hi everyone, this is Tatiana Dudiez. I'm hosting Thrive and Shine. Welcome to our episode today on authentic power and conscious leadership in the world of people who decide to embody this type of leadership or this type of life, who decide to really bring in more truth into their life. And I have the privilege, as I say every Monday, I have the privilege to bring awesome people that I meet around the world to this show so that you can benefit from hearing their stories and understanding how maybe this can, change a little something in your life. So today we have Claire Vidal. She is another French girl. We met so unexpectedly at a network event with women about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And the funny part is that we both were new at this event, at this networking group. We are both living pretty much side by side without knowing. We're both French and we're both working with women and loving to create more in our world to to serve women. And so when we met, we were quite astonished at the similarities and the synchronicities. And so we decided to, of course, we're friends, but we decided to do more. Mm-hmm. And so welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Tatiana. Great to see you.
So she has this very French accent.
Oh, come on. You do have an accent, too.
I have a little one. You have a
Do you want me to have a real French accent?
No, it's enough. Thank you. I'm good. No, we're going to pass on the book is not very well done today. Anyways, yeah. So Claire is also a sort of a corporate refugee, as I like to call it, right? Has transformed her life significantly to be where she is today. So we have that in common. I mean, we have so much in common. I'll let her explain. But why I wanted her to come and join us today is really for her to share her story of why she came to this point in her life, and also to introduce some of the stuff she does, which is really cool. So she has one business that she calls a business for fun, which is called the Healing Power of Champagne. So of course, when I heard that, I was like, yes, champagne is my very favorite. I love champagne. Bubbles make us happy.
Exactly.
And we just realized that we're missing our glass of champagne.
Yes.
Like on NBC in the morning at 9, they have Hoda and can't remember who else. Kathy? Well, no, she's gone. Anyways, we're like debating on who is, but it's a show where they always have a glass.
I'm sorry, I forgot the champagne. Honestly,
I could have thought of it too. Anyways, and then she's also a business consultant for innovative companies and startups. So that's another part of her life that she has developed. So tell us a little bit about how you got to this point and why feminine energy is running a big part of your life today, and how, of course, you incorporate that as well in business and in life. And I mean, there's so many questions.
So where should I start?
So how did you come? So let's start at the beginning. What woke you up to actually bring more of the feminine energy work into your life, or questions, the what is feminine energy for you, and why did you awaken to having that as a bigger part of your life?
Yeah. So it was in different phases in my life. I started my career in the automotive industry, so very masculine environment. I worked there for 12 years. Mostly with engineers, people from R&D, and I was always very conscious of being the only woman in the room. And so I kind of liked that, but it was also very, it was also a challenge for me. And as a young woman, I was always trying to be tougher like the guys and
impress them.
Yeah, impress them, and not being like too feminine as well. Yeah. So I could feel that I was always trying to be better and just compete with a man in general, and not really using my feminine tools in a way at that stage of my career. So I was a really tough executive, and I had issues with like how I could also be this, more feminine in my life as well. So I really was it was difficult for me to be.
Were you
I was
aware of that, though?
I
Or is
started
that
to be
something
aware.
that
I would
came
say
up with
it came
time?
up. Yeah, with time.
Yeah.
With time. I did like some what they call like 360-degree survey when they analyze. At the company level, they analyze your performance as a manager, and but also they integrate your family. And what was really interesting is that it seemed there was two Claire. There was Claire at home, Claire at work, and I don't think it has to be this way. I don't think we have to just be like the tough executive woman at work, and we can just finally be ourselves at home.
Well, especially for women, I don't think it's healthy for anyone, men included. But I also believe strongly that women have a hard time when they're really segregating everything because they're thinking with masculine energy, they compartmentalize everything, right?
Yeah.
So you started being aware that there was a different Claire in various parts of your life. And then what triggered a curiosity for going further into perhaps the feminine part of you?
Yeah. So what happened is I became an entrepreneur. I had a business idea that was really the opposite of the automotive because I was like into glamorous. I invented an insole for high heels, so luxury insole that you put into your Louboutin or any fancy class. I have a few pairs for you. Yes. I know you're my ideal client, by the way. So I launched that after 12 years in the automotive industry. Everybody was expecting me to just like freelance and nobody had any idea what I was going to do. But when I left the company, I said, I'm going to launch like a really B2C consumer product for women. And I could like suddenly work in a very feminine environment, and that was my brand, and it was very glamorous, and it's called Red Carpet Paris. So even more like
nice.
Yeah, see, I brought the red carpet here,
and we're in like blue, white, and red. You don't see my pants, but we're this like very French.
Yeah. Yes.
And it was Bastille's Day yesterday, so to everyone who is in love with France, this is an important day in our history.
Yes. So yeah, in terms of like on the career side, this is when it happened. Like I transitioned and then became more into the feminine world, and then But
wait a second, you left the corporate world.
Well, yeah.
You became an entrepreneur, and that instigated in you more femininity?
Yeah, because of the brand I had that was very feminine in a way where I could express. It was all about being a woman.
So that was on the outside. Then what happened on the inside?
Well, on the inside as well, like when I changed my life. So I would say I reset my life every 10 years or something.
Yeah. Where are you at in
in
this phase?
No, actually, every 5 years.
Okay.
So 10 years ago.
That's good. 5 is number of change, so it's perfect.
Yeah, okay. So 10 years ago, I ended my marriage.
So that's 2 lifetimes away in your operational system. Okay.
It's all news, really.
So I out with the marriage.
Out of marriage, left my corporate job. At the time, I was living in Paris. I moved away from Paris to be closer to my sister at the time. And then I launched my business in the very glamorous and feminine environment. And then 5 years later, so that must have been like 5 years ago, approximately, I decided to add another change that was always in my dreams, that was to be living in the US. So I suddenly changed again. And this is when I arrived really, when I arrived in LA and in the US, I did a lot of like self-reflection. I got into like meditation, I got into yoga, I got into lots of things. And this is where I was finally able to kind of step back from all these years as a first executive, then an entrepreneur, as a business owner, still being really much into my masculine
we
energy.
need it as we need it, right?
Yeah, when you're building your business, you're in a masculine energy. You're building things.
And I personally can speak for myself. I love business. I'm an entrepreneur. I've always been.
Me too.
I love building systems around my visions, my ideas. The minutiae and the details of it bore me to tears, but I love that. I
Yeah.
love business. And so we need that masculine
that's
energy.
that's
It's
why.
just that the problem is when we lose the feminine part
Yes.
and we are not aware
Yeah.
that it is something we need in order to come back to either our man or ourself or
Yeah.
our kids in different ways.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I did a lot of self-reflection, soul-searching. And this is when I really researched on the masculine and feminine energy and looked at my experience as a woman, as a professional woman as well.
do you remember the first time you heard about it and who
Yeah.
it was?
Yeah, David Data.
David Data.
Yeah.
Yes, one of my icons. Okay.
Yes, I read his book and I was like,
Which
oh my
one?
God. I think it was, he has a book for men. It's like,
Oh, he's got a ton.
yeah. And then I love Dear Lover. It's
Oh,
pretty,
yeah. Dear Lover. If anyone wants to know more about how to love and how to be loved, I mean, Dear Lover is amazing.
Yeah.
Another one that I love from him is The Way of the Superior Man.
Yes, that's his
Which-
most iconic book.
Right?
Yeah.
For me, that book is the first time I was literally salivating as I'm reading. I'm going, oh, okay. I would put it down. I would literally stop myself from reading it because I thought, well, this is so yummy. I have, okay, let's just cool it.
For
right?
people who don't know, maybe you should say what they're talking about.
Well, okay. So this is a book on the masculine man, the way that a man can express fully his masculinity in terms of his energy. His masculine energy, and what does that mean in life? So it's not a book about sex at all, or about intimacy. It's a book about how men can translate that masculinity, that masculine energy in their life through leadership, through the way that they treat women, the way they are with women, and also with themselves. And so it was a revelation for me. I mean, it was like, oh, so I am not crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I want that.
I want that. Well, and that's what I'm not only wanting, but that's something that I'm longing for. And I thought all these years, because when I read it, I had been single for quite a while, for a few years, and I thought, okay, so I'm not crazy. There is something like this out there. There are men like that, because if it was written for men, surely there are men like that. And it was very revelatory.
Yes.
I will just stick with that word. Yes. So that was how you got introduced.
So I got into that, and and of course as well, I shared a lot with my new friends in LA. So when I first moved, I didn't know anybody at all. And I started to go to networking for women. Like the way we met is exactly how I met a lot of women, entrepreneur women. I even had a tactic to meet new women like me. So I would go to singles events and just go I would check the guys, of course, but most of them I would make two or three new girlfriends there.
Okay, nice.
And then some of them became really close to me, and that's how I met them. And so I built this community of women around me, and I started to want to share all this new knowledge. There was a time in my life where I had a lot of time. I was like spending time at the beach, doing yoga, meditations, and self-reflection,
good life.
reading books, and
good life in Venice, California.
became quite knowledgeable about all that.
Right.
And I couldn't wait to share that with everybody and my friends. So I started creating groups of women coming to see me and having...
And that's how the
healing power
of champagne came
Yes.
through. So you aligned champagne and women, and the sharing of this information.
Because I love champagne, and I've always loved champagne. So each time they would come, I would, in my search for the perfect champagne in California, which is not possible.
Have you
No. I still had to try a lot.
Sorry, Californians. We are a little difficult to please in terms of champagne.
Yeah. So, and I got used of people calling that champagne, even that it's a bubbly for me. But anyway,
It's like, and Prosecco just doesn't cut it.
No,
I'm sorry.
no,
To
no
anyone
Prosecco,
who's
please.
giving me Prosecco, giving us Prosecco,
and calling it
pretending,
champagne.
oh my God, it's an insult.
Yes.
Right?
I'm
I can't-
outraged.
I will be outraged with you.
All right, but so
Nobody's gonna invite us.
yes, no, nobody's.
That's it. We're done.
At least nobody's gonna show up at my party with prosecco for sure. So the way, I mean, the word, like the healing power champagne, is actually it was a little door sign. That was given to me by my best friend from Paris,
Right, you
Diana.
Yes.
Who gave it to me before I left. And when I first arrived in LA, the first year I was like going from one Airbnb to the next, like so, and each time I would hang that on the door, like a sign of, you know, my friends are there with me, you know, family's away, but you know. And so when I finally moved in my little house on the canals, which was really my dream place, there was already like the hook in the middle of the door, and I just put it. It was just ready for me.
Nice.
And when I first hosted, which was not an official event or anything, I just had friends, and we spent an afternoon drinking champagne on my deck, and just under the sign Healing Power Champagne, and we had such a fantastic afternoon talking about masculine energy versus feminine energy, or talking about relationships, talking about our relationship to our body, everything that, you know, women like to talk about, and having this safe environment and this amazing connection environment as well, because when you do that in a nice place overlooking the canals with the ducks, and you know, it's kind of
so beautiful.
It's very
That's
peaceful.
One of my favorite places.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the first one was very informal like that, and then we say, wow, it was amazing. Yes. And then we just looked at the sign, and I think somebody said, that must be the Healing Power Champagne. And then that was it. I just like say, oh my God, this is an event. I'm going to do that every Sunday. So I started that in 2016, and it's been going on for now.
Every Sunday?
Originally it was every Sunday.
Okay.
And every other Sunday. Then it was a little bit too much for me. After like 6 to 8 months, it was like too much for me. Yes. It was a lot. Then I moved it to a monthly. And then it was at one point, it was like there were too many women, so we could not manage to get this intimate group that I like to have.
And becomes expensive.
Yeah, I mean, I ask people to contribute though.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, my monthly events, people contribute. They bring bubbly, if possible,
to
champagne.
anyone who brings bubbly, do not bring prosecco. Do not bring fake bubbles. We are not about any fake bubbles.
So they come with a bottle of champagne.
Okay.
And or something to eat. I always cook something, and there's always food, and that's fun. It's just like, you know.
So what has been the biggest discovery for you personally in terms of getting to understand more about that feminine energy that's part of you? What has been life-changing?
I think we underestimate the power of playfulness in our lives. We are really too serious when it comes, especially to business and even in life.
Oh yeah,
we take things too seriously.
To heart as well. We take things to heart, and then it becomes serious. And I agree.
Yeah,
so champagne every day.
That's what. See, that's my secret. It's like, you know. That's why I love champagne. It's like, it's a bubble of life, you know. It's a bubble of happiness. It's like you open it, it's just everybody's like, oh, you know, there's a party going on. There's a celebration.
It's a celebration. As a matter of fact, my girls and I, we are a family of girls, right? So there is my mom, there is me, and then I'm an only child, and there are my 2 girls. So anytime one of us or all of us see each other, because we live internationally, it's partly French here and in Montreal, we open a bottle of champagne. That is our tradition. And in France, it's not a big deal, actually.
It's true. Here it's a big deal.
That's right. So just to bring it down a little bit for Americans, champagne is a big deal. We open champagne when there is a big celebration, a big deal happening. In France, it's not the case. We have a lot of really good champagnes from various regions that are not super expensive. They're very, very good. And it's a way to celebrate something. Even if it's just, I haven't seen you for a week. Let's open a bottle. You know, and having just a glass. Like we don't need to drink the bottle. It's an occasion to celebrate one another. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
So, you know, so that's how kind of the Healing Power Champagne events were born. Right. And each time there's a theme, and playfulness is one of the things I like to talk about most, because Women, yeah, we take
because
we
we
take ourselves
work,
too seriously,
we
and
work,
also
we have families. Yeah, things are serious, and the world. Look at the world. I mean, it's full of really serious issues and serious sad issues. So if we allow that to affect us, it's easy. It's easier to not be playful than to be playful.
Yeah. And also, playfulness, you can use it in business very easily to dissolve conflicts and in negotiation, for example. We forget that we have a choice about how a conversation is going to go. And sometimes in negotiation, and, there's some tension or like a client or a boss would like try to negotiate with you, and suddenly you feel the tension and like, no, I want that. No, I don't want. And you don't know. But playfulness allows you to kind of flip it and just decide to not go against and argue against something, but just like say, oh my God, you're really are you in a good mood today? I find you're a little bit stressed out, aren't you? You can do that as a woman. Maybe as a man you couldn't do that. I don't know, but
well, it's the advantage of understanding what in feminine energy can be used in business. This is how I build my business, is really to translate for women why their feminine energy is actually their asset.
Yeah.
And how to crack that code. Because what happens to illustrate your point, what happens with men or the masculine energy in a negotiation is that unconsciously a man has a really hard time seeing you contradict him and be in competition. So then we go at force by trying to resolve something where if we continue on in that direction, it will be a win-lose, not a win-win. And the secret to any amazing negotiation is to create a win-win. So if there is tension and one is trying to take over, which one is ultimately going to take over in the process, that's what happens. And it doesn't lead to anything dramatically positive.
No, that's true. Yeah.
I love that.
Some women sometimes say like, yeah, I don't want to appear too playful because I might appear flirtatious, for example. And it's very different, It
is.
Flirtation is targeted to one person in particular. Playfulness is just a state of being. It's just
joy.
Who you are. It's joyful. It has nothing to do with being flirtatious,
Interesting, though, that you bring that up, because I think that... this is opening something else, but I think it needs to be open. I think that the way that we French women play, the way that we are playful, can appear to some American men as flirtatious.
Yes.
I'm not sure what that is. I can't really comment with my professional expertise on feminine and masculine intelligence on this one, but I've noticed that. Have you noticed that as well?
Not really. I mean, there's like, I think we have less boundaries in terms of in the
yes, right.
In the professional world, it's like more accepted in France to.
Well, in the social world as well. We were saying that the other day. Whereas in France, going for dinner with a friend who is a man is not that it is uncommon here, but let's say that the ways to relate between men and women are less through the lenses of dating as it is here.
Yeah,
here you go for dinner with a guy who you don't really know. It's going to have to be a date. Otherwise, you go for lunch. In France, not the case.
Yeah.
Like, it's not seen as a potential date.
Yeah.
So we have a different culture on that level.
Yeah.
But back to playfulness and the fact that playfulness is about joy. That also, so here, if I put my professional hat on with this expertise, is that the masculine energy is very attracted to joy. And so joy to the masculine energy is going to feel very attractive. So it's perceived by flirtatious, but it's not flirtatious. It's simply refreshing to him. And a little mysterious and a bit of a tease in some way, because joy is so fun. You want to be around people who are joyful.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then also another thing, like we mentioned playfulness. There's also something that is more powerful as well, is leading by yielding. So, I can't do it right now because we have to be close to the microphone, but there's a way to, if I want you to go this way, I can either like push you and you're going to resist. But if I dance with you and if I put you on the side and we do something, you might get there. And it's something, so combining playfulness with yielding is techniques are really powerful in helping us use our tools as women to, get success in business and not having to be as a man or to use the same tools as they are.
Absolutely. Yeah. And those principles of yielding or being in flow are very much present in the Indian culture, or even in
Shakti.
the Japanese,
Shakti
the Shakti,
leadership,
of course, Shakti leadership, and the also Japanese. I think Aikido is a sport. I am assuming Aikido is it's Asian. I'm not sure if it's Japanese exactly. But I've been fascinated by that sport because it's a way to
You're using the force of the other
that's
person,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's actually yielding. It's being strategic in yielding, which is fascinating, and that's the key, really.
Yeah. There's also some things we have to, as women, that we can learn from men.
Absolutely.
In terms of business, I would give one or two examples. Like, for men, nothing is personal. For women, everything is personal.
Everything's personal.
We take
for
things
us.
personally all the time.
Yeah, true.
So that's one thing that I think we need to be aware of.
Well, because we are not functioning through those compartments in our brain. Everything's meshed up. Everything's melted and merged into one. So it's challenging for us.
Yes. Another thing as well is that they don't need to like each other to work together.
Well, we do. I don't know if I really want. I don't know if I want to.
No, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to. You don't want that. Okay. No, but that's the key. The thing is that they work as teams more easily than women work as teams.
Yes.
We're not really trained or used of working as teams they are more. But they don't like to. They can really fight on the field and then be friends and then play golf in the weekend. Women, everything is personal. So if we don't like each other, we're not going to like each other anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's something as well we need to be conscious of and just understand that we might as well learn from that and to act differently.
And also accept it in some of the ways that men function. I mean, it doesn't have to be, we don't all have to agree on the way that it's acceptance is just respecting each other's differences and moving on. So where is the Healing Power Champagne now? Do you so you do it now on a monthly basis?
It's like every 6 weeks or so. So there's like 3 dimensions. There's one is my signature event, which is the monthly event where it's by invitation only. But each time I meet an amazing woman, I'm like inviting her, and that creates even more relationships. She meets other women who are amazing. So there's all this connection to that event. So I really enjoy hosting it so much. Then I have workshops as well that also take place on the Venice canals in small groups of women. And usually I do workshops on the feminine leadership and feminine balance. I have one tomorrow, for example.
Nice.
Yeah, it's the feminine leadership in business and life, when actually I will demonstrate the yielding and the playfulness that we just discussed. And also I'm passionate about how people, and especially women, can live the life they truly want and get the impulse to change their life. And that's my experience as a woman to have like gone through many transitions. So I like to do also workshops about helping women to take the step, take the leap that they need to change their life and really live the life they really love. Because a lot of people get stuck in life they don't like, they don't love, that the way I did.
Like.
And then you wait for a crisis to force you to do it.
That's human nature, I think, to a
Yes.
certain extent.
Yes. So there's these workshops, and now I have retreats as well.
Yes, so we were
Because,
talking about
yes.
this retreat that you are having in France.
In
from
Bordeaux.
That's right, the 10th to the 15th
Of September.
of September.
Yes, it's a group of women.
Yes, to which I would love to attend,
Yes.
but I cannot.
You'll
I'm
be missed.
sorry.
I'll send you pictures of champagne and things,
Nice.
and being in the vineyard.
We'll do. Well, we decided to do another one after.
Yeah, we'll
We're
do another one.
We'll
here.
probably do maybe one
Yeah.
in Napa
Yeah.
or something around here that will.
Because my concept is really okay. I think you guessed by now that I love champagne and wine.
No, really.
And my idea is to do retreats around the world in the most famous wine regions.
Nice.
So the first one, of course, is in Bordeaux, because this is where I come from, and it's a lovely region. And I have I found a lovely chateau for the women to have an intimate retreat where it will be only us in the chateau, with vineyards around. There's a pool as well, and would have fun. It would be like a mix of personal growth workshops, talking about the feminine energy. But we are also in the town of Eleanor d'Aquitaine, which was Queen of France, Queen of England, amazing woman in the 12th century who did 3 crusades, divorced from her husband because she was in love with her lover. Pretty
Yes,
interesting woman
right.
to study while we're there. So I organized as well having a tour that one of the specialists of Eleanor d'Aquitaine, and to also inspire us about how we can be queens in our lives. The name of the retreat is the French Queen Retreat, obviously. And that is going to be a lot of fun and a lot of self-discovery. And I think women will come back transformed after that.
So how has this knowledge and this awareness that you've developed about feminine energy and masculine energy changed the way you relate personally in your personal intimate life with men?
It's changed a lot.
How? I want to know.
I'm trying not to be bossy anymore.
Oh, really?
Really? Yes, I'm trying to.
That is challenging.
It is. I catch myself.
I catch myself all the time. And one of the things that, again, I have been studying this for 5 years now. And one of the things that I discovered recently was about Pat Allen's book, through Pat Allen's book, about giving. I hadn't realized, even though I have been in this world, it's interesting. I hadn't read Pat Allen's book until recently, unfortunately. But she was explaining how giving is actually a masculine thing.
Yes.
And how we develop this tendency for overgiving, which I am a recovering overgiver in general. And that really comes from the way you were shown, one from the mother, that you do not know how to self-love, and therefore you tend to overgive, over-nurture in order to receive
but you don't
and
receive
attention,
and so
but you don't. And then, exactly. And then the overachiever also is developed. So there is the overachiever with a very big lack of self-love, which has been me in my past, and really shifting away from what I've learned to even understanding recently that it makes total sense that giving is actually a very masculine thing, and how I've actually seen myself resist some of the giving of the man in my life.
Yes, it's crazy. But
where
it's true.
I feel like I am, I feel like, I then now have to give as much.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we think.
Right? Or I tend to actually feel bad asking for help. Even a very small task. Like it takes me, I've been so ingrained to develop my life on my own and make sure that I depend on my own and, on it for everything, that even simply asking, can you take the dogs out for a pee? Or it's work. It's an effort. Yeah. And I catch myself all the time. So,
well, it's because also, we're both entrepreneurs. So most of the day we kind of making things happen.
Exactly.
And it's hard then to kind of reverse and say, oh, I can receive too. And I can, it's, sometimes I discuss the giving and receiving part in in the Healing Power of Champagne maybe like 1 month ago.
Okay.
There was a lot of resistance from women.
Of course.
They were like,
of course.
no, of course I give. You know, it's like what mothers do and all that. It's like, it is. But
that mother, as she describes
Yes,
so well,
yes.
and I did that intuitively at some point in my life. I decided I wanted to have this business in order to come back to me, and well, not this business, the one before that, but to have some kind of support system for me, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be left on my own. All of a sudden my kids are are going out of the house and they're all developing their life, which I really want them to, and then all of a sudden that's it, you have nothing for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's partly self-love, to learn how to come back. So most women, if you don't know how to come back to your self-love and stop nurturing your kids in the way that they are when they are very small, but at some point when they're 10 or 15, you can't nurture them in the same way. You have to learn to come back to you. And if you don't, what you're doing is you're teaching your kids how to not have self-love, and you're doing that with your man.
Yeah.
Which is very depolarizing, and men get very turned off by that. It's like they don't need a mother.
Yeah.
So how do you notice it in your life? What else?
The giving receiving part, the bossy part sometimes. It's also just enjoying just being in the present moment and being in the flow, and not, as an entrepreneur, I tend to always think ahead and plan, and where am I in my business, blah, 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 blah. So I try to ground myself much more. It helps me to stay in my feminine energy much more. And also, as you said, self-care, self-love, it's just taking my time to, to take a bath or take care of myself, going on a massage, doing like girly things really helps to reconnect to yourself. And,
it does.
And feeling beautiful, when you get out of the house, and if you are just like, I don't know, you can look great in yoga pants for sure. I'm sure you do. But like if you feel beautiful, then for me, change the day as
Absolutely.
well. So I like to take care of myself. And for me, I have my makeup routine, for example. I love for me, it's like meditation. I love putting on makeup, and I feel already much better.
Yeah, and it's not something that I'm the same way. It's not, or even getting dressed. Like sometimes I'm not going anywhere, but I'm dressed up in a way that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I've always done that. It's something that enhances me. I feel enhanced.
Yes.
Like I'm self-enhancing.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes. and also gathering with women, this is how women recharge themselves. We recharge our batteries by being with other women, talking, because, with men, we have to talk less.
Yes, we
That's
do.
another advice.
We have to talk
talking.
less. And giving advice.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oof. That's hard.
You should do that. No. You're perfect the way you are. I'm sure you'll find your way.
It's so challenging.
Yeah, so it's so I do the Healing Power Champagne is also for me, it's not only
of course
like
it is.
It is like it's just having this moment, and everybody feel really healed. I can tell you, after 3 hours of talking and drinking champagne, everybody's ready for the week. I can guarantee you. It's on
in
Sundays.
so many ways. Then you send them home and
everybody's happy. And
maybe their husbands should thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sure they. Did you ever ask the women
I don't know, but they receive. I do have like spontaneous feedback that they are like they still think about. Like last time, the last healing, we talked about how to, take a leap in your career, for example, or like make a decision about do you want to be an entrepreneur or not. And a lot of women would like to work from themselves, and they are scared of there's many like beliefs they have and paradigm they have to overcome to launch their business. And so I was kind of like walking them through several principles of how to create a quantum leap in your life, and instead of going step by step, to really create an exponential difference in your life. And there are beliefs you need to have. You have to believe it's possible. That's one of the first criteria. And also, you don't have to know all the steps first. You just have to focus on the goal. This is what I want. You have to be
and align
sure
with it.
about it. and happy and have this kind of sense, this is who I am. It needs to be, of course, aligned with your values. And so we ended the healing with one particular, because I usually walk everybody through some kind of workshop, and then everybody can share and we kind of coach each other in a way. And one of the women there was struggling with, like, she doesn't like her current job, and she was thinking to go back into freelance, but she said it's too risky and it was tiring. But at the same time, I could notice that she was lighting up while she was talking about it, and how good she felt when she was a freelance. And so it was very interesting. We coached. I mean, I coached her, and other people started to kind of ask her questions. And then she wrote to me a few days later saying, I'm still thinking about all the conversation you did. It was just amazing. I think I'd like to talk with you to just discuss, how I could move further in that direction. Because I think she didn't expect to really share so much. And she felt now that it was something that she needs to do in her life to be happier in her career.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Feels good, huh?
Yeah, it feels amazing. Yes.
Yeah.
And the next one is in 2 weeks, and it's already like full. Like, it was full in 5 hours. But I'm keeping a spot for you, though.
I was just
I saw your face.
I'm like, well, I
We'll
want to
co-host
come.
this one. Let's do one.
Awesome.
Like that.
What do you love about masculine energy?
Oh, that's a good question.
It just came to me.
That's a good one. Well, of course, the fact that we apply the masculine energy means we love it and we feel also comfortable in it. It has this being able to lead and make the decisions, and also the caring part and protective part is like what I appreciate in my life as a woman with a man is also like somebody who's protective and caring, while as well somebody who can lead. And so it's I also think that, well, in business, what I like is that for men, everything is a game. There's the game of business.
It's the hunting game.
Yes, everything is a game, And it's like, men are like boys with bigger toys.
It's true.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
You give them a ball, they love it, any age. I'm not saying that condescendingly,
All right. No, I
but
get
that's
it.
true. And so they are more playful than us sometimes.
Yes, that's true.
And it's like the way they look at the world, they look at business is like it's everything is a game. How am I going to win that game? And if you create a game with them when you want them to do something for you, you can't really women tend to manipulate men into doing what they want.
Which
doesn't work.
It never will. It will never yield the best solutions.
No. Because then when they realize they've been manipulated, like
it will yield solutions, but not the best ones. Yeah.
But if you create a game of let's do this business together, that's how we do this, and then you create something that is more sustainable and something they will enjoy more. So I like their way of thinking about things is more like everything being a game and organized as a game with team players, and I think men also are very. As women, each players have to bring something to the team, and that's also a mindset that as women we also need to learn to play for the team and not only play for ourselves sometimes.
You find women are more individualistic that way?
When they are, women in a masculine environment, if they are just surrounded by men, they will be more easily isolated in a way, and they will play more. They will not bring other players with them.
Because naturally, we are more inclusive.
With other women, but with other men, maybe sometimes we become like too isolated and we don't create a team around us. I don't know if you've noticed, but most of the entrepreneurs I know or freelancers, they always work by themselves. They don't really create a team.
In my opinion, it's because they've become overly competitive and
don't create team.
Value collaboration, where collaboration and team and inclusivity is really a big component of the feminine energy. When we move and live more in the masculine energy part of our beings, we become very much like men. I mean, not men. We become very much like we become more masculine in our energy. I have to pay attention to the way that I.
Yeah, because it's not. Yeah,
exactly.
Because
It's not about. It's not about men or women. It's where we are. Where we're living that in that moment, and whether we know what we need in order to move to the other side and then come back to the center and have more of an integrated power. I've noticed that women who are, including myself in my past, I would be sitting at the top of my company, at the top of my life, running the company, running my life with my kids in a very isolated fashion. And I did not hang out with women. As a matter of fact,
there was the masculine side of you? Okay.
Yes. That's how I interpreted it, because I also was not, I didn't know how to even blend in another group of women. I didn't know how. And it made me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh.
Because I was always the leader, and to sit back and relax and be in the flow and listen to other women at that time, we're talking, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I found it excruciating.
Wow.
I actually really didn't like at that moment. I didn't like hanging out with women. Now I love it. This is like this, it's like my business.
All
my
you
life,
needed was
everything.
champagne.
Right. Yeah. So it's interesting how we can really switch, I guess, personalities. We can really switch our identity.
Yeah.
With time and more awareness and presence and being able to understand who we are more and expand on that.
But also in business and in careers, it's known that sometimes some women that arrive at top of the hierarchy in the business, sometimes either they bring more women or they close the door behind them. Men, usually they bring more men in, to take over after them, or they promote more men and all that. So we see that kind of team spirit, bringing up, that sometimes we don't see with women.
True.
And is it because they are more in their masculine? I don't think so, because being in the masculine seems to be bringing other team members.
Well, the pure, I think I think there is context to this. I think that we can't just say that because men tend to hire more other men like them, that it is their masculine energy. I don't believe so, because masculine energy is more exclusive. It's linear, and it will be exclusive and going for the kill, going for the bottom line, going for the goal and the end game. Now, generally in masculine energy, they don't bring people in. I think that what happens in this context that you're referring to is that men generally will hire someone else that they are feeling they can trust. So it's a likability and a level of trust that they feel they can exercise in hiring someone else like them rather than a woman.
Yeah.
Because they don't feel initially as much trust towards another woman, because we're so different.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens in their brain.
Trust,
unconsciously.
Trust is always an issue,
Yeah. So as we are, 1:48 already. We're wrapping up.
Yes.
It goes by so fast, isn't it?
I know.
We could keep on doing this for another.
Let's bring the champagne next time.
I know, we're going to bring champagne. So I want to ask you, what is it that, besides champagne, what is it that you cannot go without every day? It could be
two
anything.
things that can, in general, I mean,
personally, I read that question once from an interview, actually, I was subjected to, and my answer was almond butter.
So it has to be something, because I was gonna be more general.
It can be whatever comes to mind.
For me, the first thing that came to mind is love, because I'm very happy to be to receive a lot of love from my family, from friends, from everybody that are close to my heart. And I feel it's something that I feel really grateful for. And it's so, for me, feeling the love every day is something I'm really happy about and that I can't go without.
Yeah, I was going to say I love that too. Yeah, that's awesome. So how can people find you?
healingpowerofchampagne.com and on Facebook as well.
And in terms of business consulting?
In terms of business, my website is Vidal Ventures.
VIDAL Ventures.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And tell us just quickly what your specialty is in that
so
business consulting.
I do like go-to-market strategies and how to create quantum leap in your business. I'm passionate about entrepreneurship. I had my own business and I've also worked in several startups. So I love working with startups who really are disrupting their market and help them really launch this new project, this new product on the market. And I'm also helping corporate VC to coach their startups once they have invested in them to kind of make sure their investment stays on track by coaching their business owners on the mindset, like that they have the right mindset to
make the result
happen, and as well the right tools, marketing tools, and based on my experience.
That's amazing. Thank you for being part of this. To be continued. We will come back, I'm sure.
Yes.
We'll come back. Lovely. We'll bring champagne and we will let you all know when we have an event together, which will be probably
soon, by the end of the year.
Yeah, before the end of the year. And if not, then there is this retreat one, French Queen Retreat, September 10th in Bordeaux, France.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Have a great week. See you next time.